Hey, good afternoon and welcome, of course, to Wealth by Design. It is Aaron here, doing my bit over here, but when I say doing my bit, basically becoming a bit of a sponge, sucking up a lot of information. Really enjoyed a conversation we just had off here, let me tell you. I'm going to jump straight into it. Great to have you here, Jeff. Jeff Bowman, of course, Wealth by Design, mate.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
Always a pleasure. Now, I'm a bit concerned today because you've got a laptop in front of you. You look very official, mate. You look like you know what you're doing.
I saw one of your other sort of guests on recently, and he had his laptop. He looked very, very.
Yeah, it's a change in look. Just it hits us psychologically, doesn't it? Yeah,
it's probably just a prop.
It could very well be. Now, what are we going to talk about today, mate? Because I've had a quick little look at the notes.
Well, I think we'll get back to some of the basics today.
Okay.
Some 101 basics around really financial literacy, because as you know, we're the people that help save you money and make you money.
And both are so important. Saving money is a very, very important part of this entire process.
Indeed.
Couldn't agree more.
Indeed. And so when we set up our financial planning company back in 1995, showing my age, Aaron, I know, we actually we developed a brand new model, apart from the fact that it was the first fee-for-service financial planning company in Australia.
Right. Now, explain what that means to you and I. Well, no, to you, to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we sort of kicked off in the late 80s, further showing my age, mate. But I'm glad I'm coming up well today because
mate, you're looking a million
sort
bucks.
of my hair out.
You're doing all right.
So late 80s we got going. In those days it was essentially a life insurance industry.
Yeah, it was.
Right. So you were selling whole of life insurance policies.
Yep.
Which were savings plans and life insurance policies built into one. And it was just starting the financial planning world.
Yeah, okay.
Just mainly led by what was going on in Europe, mainly out of the UK.
Okay, I didn't realise that.
Yeah, yeah. So and very much a transaction-based industry. Right. So we used to send out letters and follow up. You could even legally do it, knock in those days.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, mate. Just like they did. We were the men from Prudential.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know what?
The bowler hat, like yours. That's not a bowler hat.
No, it's not. But I'll tell you what, I do remember the advertising. Yeah. And I do remember, I mean, the late 80s particularly, it was focused on life insurance, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, I remember, the big players sort of stepping out in the market. I remember Prudential, I remember AMP and National Mutual. Yeah.
Mercantile Mutual.
Yeah.
So they were the good old heady days.
Right.
And a lot of fun. Yeah. So we and we're very good training on sort of basic budgeting, but it was a transaction-based selling industry.
Okay.
Very much. Well, give you an idea. 97% of life insurance agents were out of business within the first year from starting.
Whoa, okay.
Because it was commission only.
Sure.
No salary. Tough. Unless you could sell.
Yep.
You're
going hungry. Yeah.
You didn't eat, mate. Yeah, no. So from there, we then set up WB Financial.
Yep.
And that was a group of Prudential agents, and it was it had its own AFSL, which meant Australian Financial Services License.
Right.
Which meant we were our own bona fide financial planning company, and it was the heady days, like the very first to go fee for service.
Sure.
Which was where we were not flogging product. We'd sit down with someone like you, Aaron, you and your wife and your little kids around the kitchen table. That's how we did it.
I remember those days.
And we go, righto, well, look, we're not going to flog you a bunch of product. We're actually going to sit down and talk to you about what your lifestyle is all about,
right?
What's important to your lifestyle, and then we'll build a financial model around your lifestyle, to help with paying off debt and building up assets,
right?
Etc. Etc.
Okay.
And that was the big difference. You're either a financial planning company that were a transaction-based business that flogged product, basically. So all the banks did,
and that's what we all remember, right?
Yeah. And we had the massive paradigm shift on that in our company. We went, no, there's a better way to do this. We're going to ask you a million questions about what's important to your lifestyle, and then we'll build financial modelling around your lifestyle. Because if you're not happy with your lifestyle, you're not going to stick with anything.
Of course not.
Right?
Yep.
And that sort of made sense to a lot of people. It was very foreign to them. It wasn't just, oh, here's the Prudential man knocking on my door.
I know. Like, I'm sort of smiling away because I think, like, I've got to give you credit. That you really nailed it there. End of the day, people care about their lifestyle. They care about what they're building for their children, their legacy, that sort of thing. Okay, life insurance is, a bit, look, if it just is a product on its own, it's, look, I die, my kids get some money, right? Like, okay, but you don't think about, and I don't want to be selfish about it, but lifestyle is vitally important.
Of course it is.
Right?
Yeah.
And when I get to retirement, I don't want to be relying on the pension. I don't want to have that lifestyle of that we hear so many people are deciding what day to put the heating on and all of that kind of thing, or it's very hot at the moment, not be able to use their air conditioner.
Yeah.
I want a lifestyle. These are things that we fundamentally, we deserve.
We're ahead of the time, Aaron. We were.
Mate, I'm tending to suggest
we were.
I think you're on the money there, quite literally.
We were right out there.
Yeah.
And so we ran that business successfully for 18 years.
Yeah.
And so, and it was a beauty. And so, the cornerstone to building those financial plans,
sure,
which I sort of coined the term business plans for grown-ups.
Okay.
Because if you've got a proper business plan,
yep,
you got staff, you've got rent, you got this, you got that.
Yep.
You got to have your budgets done right. Otherwise, you could have too much money going out and not enough coming in.
That's right.
That means broke. And we would do the same with our individual private clients, because you'd say, look, the only reason you're not broke at the moment is you've got a job that keeps putting the money in.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we've done a proper budget, we can see that the only reason you're supporting your budget is because you're increasing your borrowings. Right?
Ooh.
Yeah. So their debt levels would be increasing.
That's
because credit was it was easy credit for a long, long time. It's not so much now, but we had probably 40 years of easy credit.
Yeah. Totally.
The expanding credit, as they say. And that's led a lot of people into a false sense of security, because they could get another credit card and they could extend their mortgage on their house and fund that $50,000, wedding anniversary trip to Italy that they deserve, but they can't afford it.
And with it being easy credit, we went through a time where people were paying a credit card off with a credit card, all of that routine, that just Russian roulette with your money, basically.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So that's why we sort of wanted to focus today on getting back to some of the basics.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming into the new year.
Yeah.
We've got inflation through the roof, right?
No doubt about that.
It's probably in real terms 10%.
Okay.
Right? And you're going, whoa, that's seriously bad.
That's serious.
We've got the highest inflation rate of any of the developed countries in the world.
Crazy.
Driven largely by this incredibly incompetent government that we've got that wants to increase the cost of energy through this whole green nonsense. And so
I'll interrupt you on that. Just today, they're trying to get approval for another 250 more wind turbines that they want to stick on the verge of the Blue Mountains. The Blue Mountains. You've got to be kidding me.
It's got to be stopped.
It's got to be stopped. Yeah, we need to get sensible about this. This is what is this green energy and this fake virtue signaling going to carry on. This is what's pushing up the cost of living. This is the real 10 to 13% of inflation. Right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Because we're now starting to see the blackouts in New South Wales, right?
Yep.
Plan not to turn your fridge on or your air conditioner or whatever. Like, it's the sort of stuff that happens in South Africa.
That's right.
And so we're going, righto, for our clients that are all retail clients.
Yep.
They're, families basically, or pre-retirees. We're going, Jesus, you got to stop borrowing money, because it doesn't make sense to be having any debt when you get close to retirement.
Of course.
If you're thinking about putting these investments in place, because we are setting up these high income returning property investments for our clients that they can run through their self-managed super funds, or we're doing a combination of that and crypto through self-managed super. We've now got a model that can allow people with low superannuation balances. They can set their own self-managed super fund up with support and advice, or no advice, depending on their choice.
Sure.
So you don't legally have to have 200 grand to set up a self-managed.
Okay.
As long as you're going with your eyes open and you know all the options, you might want to go, no, look, I wouldn't mind 10% of $1 million property. Tenants in common.
That's right.
It's going to cost me 100 grand.
Yeah.
I can get 10% net.
That's right.
Yield, and I've got a capital asset. I don't need $1 million because I can't afford it, but I can afford 60 or 70 or
But you
100.
can get into that game, and that's the difference.
That's exactly right. So before we can have that constructive investment, let's bridge the gap of having not enough assets in retirement.
Sure.
Just to throw off an income that can support your lifestyle. You've got to know your budgets.
You do.
And so all we're saying is before Christmas hits, let's hit the ground running in 2025 with an understanding of what your budget is, right? You've got so much money coming in.
Sure.
You've got fixed expenses, which is your rates.
Yep.
Right. Your internet service provider.
Sure.
Your private medical insurance, all their fixed expenses, you know what they are. So there's 10 of them. There's 30 discretionary expenses.
Sure.
So we encourage now people to actually put together, as boring as it is, for God's sake, if you think about not wanting to end up on the pension, lining up at the dole office going, I'm now 67, can I please have the pension? Which are running at the moment 6 months behind in being approved as we speak, like it's a typical public service
I'm going to
drama area.
I'll tell you something which is really quite depressing on that one, mate, is that is the public knowledge that 6 months. I've spoken to people who are working in the system, and there is so many people who are waiting for pensions who have been waiting for over 9 months currently to be processed.
Is that right?
9 months. Yeah, but the public is told 6.
Yeah.
I mean, which is horrendous. But we're talking
about it's worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so all we're saying is if it's possible to avoid getting caught up in that terrible dependency on the state to give you enough money to buy groceries and pay your rent or whatever, then you've got to bloody get down hard, dead and dirty and bloody start doing some budgeting, right?
Of course you do.
So we provide simple tools to our clients. We'll probably have one up on our website, or it'll go out on Lisa will probably stream it out or whatever she does to let everyone know what we do on this show. But hey, go and do your budget, right? You know what your income is because you got a job.
That's right.
Boom, in she goes. If you're self-employed, you know what your income is because you run it through zero.
Yep.
And you know what your tax returns tell you that your income is. But there's the discretionary expenditure, that's where everyone gets caught out. Because you know what your Bupa private health cover is. Yeah. And you know what your rates are.
That's right.
Right. But you do not really, unless you start to focus on it, know where the rest of your discretionary spending goes, which is Uber Eats. It's this all the other stuff. Like we'd ask our clients, do you gamble?
Right.
Oh no, God, no, gambling's wouldn't they dream of gambling? But we go down here on a little form and we go, yes, but you've just said that you're in a syndicate.
The
lotto syndicate. Right?
Yep.
It's a bit of a trick question, right? Because the mindset thing. Do you gamble? No. But you're in a syndicate and you put $25 a week, $100 a month into the work lotto syndicate.
Yes.
That's $1,200 a year of gambling.
They see it very differently when you use those terms.
That's
right?
a bit of a long odds.
It really is exactly right. But you're right in the discretionary thing. I mean, I've seen examples which sound boring, but you talk about people who go and they stop and they get their coffee every morning. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. A coffee these days is $6 odd. All right.
I know.
Okay. So, I mean, you've got, even if you're just having one coffee a day, there's $30 a week, right? At $30 a week, you can go to yourself, you know what I could do? I can do this amazing thing. I can stir my own coffee. Yeah. Okay. I can actually do that. I could buy a machine, whatever. Yeah. I can reduce that cost to say $1 a pop. Yeah. And then I've got, say, $25 a week. I could be actually investing in myself and my future.
Yes.
It's a small amount, but you do that on that little thing. You do it on something else. And all of a sudden,
so right, mate, you're on the money. You've been paying attention.
I tried to.
Last 10 weeks, you've been paying attention. Because, as you know, we've got a digital wealth platform.
Yeah.
Right. You could go and buy $30
Yep.
of a Bitcoin.
I know. That's amazing.
How good's that?
Well, yeah, especially when you see the price of it going up and up and up. And, and you feel like, because if you, to those just looking from the outside looking in,
Yep.
you think, oh, Bitcoin's $100,000 or, whatever it happens to be at the time. I can't possibly, I missed out on that. No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Go buy $50 worth. Buy 30, buy whatever you need to buy.
Dead right, because it goes to how many zeros after the decimal point?
I've forgotten already. Look, I think I want to say 8.
Plus
I want to say 8.
8.
Yeah, am I right?
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
8 zeros after the decimal point.
Got some comments coming through too. I might just throw them up on screen. I do apologise for my slowness on this one here, but there we go. This is obviously from much earlier on. This easy credit broke up families, and that's a very good point when we were talking about before. And this is a thing. It really did when we saw interest rates fly up. I mean, I saw my mother and father, our lifestyle change very, very, very strongly in the late 80s, early 90s when interest rates went up to 18.5%. I mean, we were we had a beautiful home and goodies and all that sort of carry on. But my word, did I see the stress on my family from that? And we survived through, but I think about so many families that didn't. So it's a great point. And we don't like to talk about money so often, but money can't buy happiness. But I tell you what, it can sure rent some for a while, and it can also take away a lot of pressure.
Yes.
I think it's a very important thing.
I love this. I love one quote I heard years ago. Look, someone said money's not everything, and the other bloke said, you know what? I agree, but it is right up there with oxygen.
In this modern world, you just can't get on without it.
You got to have it.
You have to have it. Exactly right.
Yeah.
But also the thing is, it buys you options. And this is not just about materialistic things. I had a situation years ago, and I won't go too far into it, but I just want to say this. Many years ago, I had a situation where I had a family member who was in dire trouble on the other side of the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and really needed support. I was in a good financial situation. I just jumped on a plane, right?
Yep.
Didn't think about it. Boom, boom, boom. Got on the first flight. Was able to support that person through a really tough time. Now, that's not all about money. That is about buying options. Now, if I was in a situation where I was in a flat financial state, the phone ain't going to do it. Honestly, This person needed genuine support.
Dead right.
So it's covered in so many things. It's not not about a sports car.
Yeah.
It is about your family and giving people
standard of living, choice.
Spot on.
A lot of your listeners are very big on independence.
Very, very much so.
And not wanting to rely on the government for anything.
Yep.
And that's just normal. But if your choices are taken away because you don't have enough disposable income, then you are in strife.
Yeah. Look, Jeff, I've lived it and very much still live it right now. And so I know this is very, very true. I've been very, fortunate in my past life. I've had options. I've had some strong finances. Situations have taken that away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt it in very real terms.
Yeah.
And it is it's so life-changing if your health takes a bit of a turn. Like there's no, I'm going to take a break. You just have to keep punching through.
Yeah.
Getting your financial life in order is getting your life in order.
Yep, absolutely. One thing too, which is a standout when you actually sit down with people around their lack of financial literacy, is the difference between your assessable income and your taxable income.
Oh, right? People don't realise.
They don't, because some people, most even salaried people, they've got tax deductions, so they might have income protection insurance, right?
Sure.
They might be running their business part-time from their home. So a portion of their home can be tax deductible,
of course,
like half the bedroom or whatever.
Yeah.
And they work that out with their accountant. And so you've got taxable income.
Yep.
Only after you've worked out, what your expenses are and you deduct those expenses from your assessable income. And that is just a fundamental piece of financial literacy, because you might have an investment property. You start to get into it a bit then, because your accountant's forcing you to go, well, come on, is that a depreciable item, or is it full tax write-off when you fix a bathroom up.
Right.
And you're forced to up your financial literacy a bit.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But even super, you see. So when you run your own little budget and you go, oh, look, I think I could probably maybe put my employer is going to put in, or 11.5 grand this year, like 11.5% because they're on $100,000 gross salary, simple numbers.
Yep.
But because I can put in 30 grand, I might want to put an extra 5 or 10,000. So they can play with that on a proper little Excel spreadsheet or any little budgeting device.
Yeah.
And go, right, I'll put 10 in. Oh, it's fully taxed because the Excel spreadsheet will put it in as tax deductible, goes in as a pre-tax expense. And then they look at their disposable income and they go, oh, I can still have 8,900 a year in savings, even after I put 10 grand into super. So it's educational at the same time.
It's so important, mate.
And
it really is.
Yeah. And so we're so fortunate we live in a modern tech time. Not that Excel's a new idea, but to use something that is technically accurate.
Sure.
To give you peace of mind. Because at the end of the day, we can't have any constructive discussions with our clients about an investment strategy unless we know if they've got a savings capacity, right? Because Australians, as you know, mate, are notorious for living to their income.
No doubt
we
about
are
it.
the world's leading champions in the world of living to our income. And
some would say beyond it.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's so true. You're on 100 grand a year. You're taking home, 70,000. You spend the lot. But if you're on $1 million a year, you will still find a way to spend the $500,000 because half's gone in tax.
Yeah, true.
Because your kids start going bloody business class and all this sort of stuff.
You make change. You're spot on that. You just, whatever money you earn, you just lift your income, your lifestyle rather, to match that. And but the literacy thing is a big deal because a lot of people go, I make X, Y, Z a year. Well, you do, but then Mr. Taxman comes and takes his chunk, right? This levies, da-da-da-da-da. The actual money you're getting is far less than that, but the people don't realise that.
Yes.
People just,
And
they don't spend the time.
So true. And I think if you just say budgeting, it's so boring and dry. People go, oh, my God, I'm going to have to work out how much I'm going to spend on tomatoes at Hungry Jack's, or Farmer Jack's.
Farmer Jack's. I knew what you meant, actually, so it's all right. Because I don't know, when I go into Hungry Jack's, I don't have to do a quote. But all right, okay.
Got my Jacks mixed up. If you can sort of interface with a tool, even a simple Excel spreadsheet, contributions to a tax-deductible item like super or interest on your investment property, it gives you tangible stuff to look at and go, oh, this budgeting actually is quite good. I quite like it.
Sure.
Because I can see the net benefit it can have to me. And then you go, well, if I've got, 15 grand saving and I put 5 grand as a buffer, I've got 10. And then you can expand that 10,000 out into an asset class and see what it's going to do in retirement capital in over 10 years.
Okay.
15 years, right?
Okay.
Because only 10 grand. Oh, well, it's 10. Well, 10. What's 10? Is that 10 tens? Oh shit, that's 100 grand. What if I can get 7%? Well, that 100 grand could well be 180 grand.
Yep.
And then it adds a little bit of excitement.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's funny as you were saying it, like, okay, some of these subjects to the everyday person are the most dull things. I mean, it's like watching paint dry, right? So what I think is, okay, if you can do this, right, and you actually see the growth of it, it becomes a little like personal way of rewarding yourself, and you enjoy it then. It's just not, oh, I've got to do the budgeting. You're actually creating a bit of not a game as such, but you are watching your wealth grow, okay, and it becomes a bit of a treat.
Dead right, and it can be exciting because it's not so much budgeting is boring. It is, hey, budgeting is a great tool to help me be a self-funded retirement by 60 because I can legally get access to all my money then and live on a pension, but it's your own self-funded pension, not the pension that you get when you're 67, which is funded by the taxpayer.
Correct.
And let's face it, bloody 32 grand a year for a single person on the pension doesn't go far.
Not far at all.
So it's a bad look that we've got to get cracking on the budgeting.
Very, very tough. It would be, I mean, let's face it, even if you owned all your assets, just with the cost of living these days, 32 grand, how are you going to live on that? Great comment then. I love the comments coming up. Thank you very much. Lisa, who's put the comment, what age should people start budgeting, and do schools teach? Bit of a question mark there. There's no school, I'm going to get no more school banking passports like the baby boomers had back in the day.
Yeah, very good point, Lisa.
I don't know if schools still teach. I know that the fundamentals, I went to school a very long time ago, and I watched it actually decreasing quite a lot in those days. It really did. So to be frank, I just don't think they would anymore. I mean, look, we live in a world now where kids at school don't do woodwork or metalwork or cooking or sewing or anything like that. Those things that we used to do back in the day, they're all gone. So those practical things, it's all it's far more about pronouns now, of course. But it's could always have a dig. But these important things, right? These important things, like being able to read and write and do your bloody tax.
Yeah.
In year 9, as one of our assignments, I will never forget, our maths teacher said, let's do a tax return, right? Okay, and basically I want to see who can effectively give us the best tax return, who's the most creative with their deductions, and away we go and all that.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, what a great teacher, because that actually wasn't in the curriculum.
No.
He went outside.
He's going outside.
He did. And I very much appreciate him for that, because that's real world stuff, that's stuff that would have made so many lives improved.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the education system's been largely negligent over the years
agree.
for not that. I mean, there's a thing called there's a guy called Scott Pape that has got the Barefoot Investor.
Yeah,
you can Google Scott Pape, and he's done a fabulous job of getting the basic education going.
I agree.
And good on him. If all the schools adopted at a minimum what he teaches, it probably should be put through the whole curriculum.
It really should. It really should, because it is such a fundamentally important thing, right? Like it's not algebra, it's not trig, it's not things that look, unless you're going to go build bridges and those kind of stuff, and go into engineering, which is a fantastic career. But if you're going to go into, I don't know, broadcasting, I haven't needed not a lot of trig, I can't even speak, in my career, right? Okay, it hasn't been sort of a priority. But guess what? I've needed to pay my taxes. I've needed to budget. I've needed to know what, basically how my money works. These are fundamental things. This is why education is so important across the board. We're obviously, when we're talking about super, these days we're talking about crypto too. This is why crypto education is vital in my eyes. We certainly see how things are changing in that space.
Yes.
And with the recent elections in the US, we know that is changed forever.
Once again.
Yeah. So
important for us to know. Like now on this digital platform we've got on the Wealth by Design platform.
Yep.
They've got what's called a dollar cost averaging feature. So you can, once you've worked out your budget, you can say, oh, look, I want to put $100 a month.
Yep.
Into say a bundle, a small bundle of blue chip crypto assets. Like, it's all set up for you. All you got to do is make sure that that you can afford that. So, and then they can just put their money on a regular basis.
Now, Jeff, you've just said $100 a month.
Yeah.
That's that saving in coffee that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yes.
Go get yourself a $100 coffee machine, get yourself some pods, whatever, and you have your coffee and walk out the door with it.
Yep.
You've just brought yourself into that market.
That's so true. And it's such a valid point. You don't have to have big bucks to get started. Because if you're going to get, and no one knows, but all the indications are now with the maturing of the digital asset world.
Sure.
And with what's happened with the US government, changes with Trump getting in, there's going to be some stability in the regulatory area, right?
Yeah.
And it is pro the digital wealth space. It's pro Web3, right, which is the next level up in technology from Web 2, like Google's Web 2, a blockchain where a digital, say, assets platform is Web 3.
Yeah.
And so it's just the next phase of technology. And so to be able to now get access to those areas that on the surface look like being really high growth areas for probably 2 or 3 years, it's a guess, but it's looking like that.
Yeah, okay.
And with BlackRock and Charles Schwab and Vanguard and these guys in New York really getting on this digital wealth crypto bandwagon and developing basically a fifth asset class, because we've got cash, we've got fixed interest, we've got property, we've got shares. The fifth asset class is this crypto space, without a doubt. It's gone from 2.5 trillion in market capitalization 2 weeks ago to 3.5 trillion.
What?
It has.
In that short of time?
In that time.
Whoa, I didn't know that. Okay.
And when you think that the global investable funds is 450 trillion, 3.5 trillion over 450, it's still a tiny area, but it is growing very quickly. And if you see what's happened in the last 10 days, funnily enough, it's lined up with the next growth cycle, which is the fourth growth cycle in a row.
Okay.
So it lined up with that, and coincidentally, the US government, Trump regime getting in.
Sure.
Which has added $1 trillion to that market capitalization. So if you can get in for $100 a month into that fast-growing world, then it just may be that $100 every month could be, it could be $1,000 in 3 years' time.
Right.
But if you're putting 100 in every month, well, 12,000 could be 120,000.
Of course.
If you're going to get a 10 bagger, as the old saying goes, there's no one saying that's going to happen. But if you read all the research and look at the support that it's getting from the institutions, that just might be a high growth area that you need to be focused on. So much more emphasis on coming back to your budgets.
Yeah,
how much can you afford?
Yeah. Well, Jeff, here's your alternative. Put your money in traditional banking, stay with the fiat system, put your money in you're one of the big 4 banks, okay? And with inflation, you're losing money every year.
Yep.
So you're actually going backwards. They're your alternatives, right?
Yep.
And, as you get older, and the body starts to creak and all that kind of carry on, retirement now starts to become real.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
And I would certainly like to be comfortable in my retirement. And it annoys me, it angers me a little bit about my own, naivety, I guess, in different planning. Imagine if we started planning this at the age of 20. Imagine that,
Yeah. Well, compound's a fabulous thing.
It really is.
But if you lose time because you're getting older and you're nearly in your 50s or even 60s, and you're going, well, Jesus, I've got people now saying, Jeff, look, I know I've been stuffing up.
Yep.
And I know I'm 55, and I know I've only got 70 grand in super, but I'm earning good money. I promise you I'll keep working to 70. Like they're feeling terribly guilty. I must have given them a bit of a beating.
Maybe.
And so they go, I'm going to work to 70, right? So I'm 50, I'm going to go to 70. Yep, no problem, righto. So we've got a bit of block of time to work with here. So even there, you can do a lot of stuff in 10 or 15 years.
Of course you can.
Because the power of compound.
Yeah. And I certainly don't want to give people the impression that, don't start now, okay? No. By any stretch of imagination, and you can beat yourself up about the fact you didn't start 20 years ago. Or, we're about to hit New Year's, right? 2025, it's a nice number, okay?
Yeah.
Right in the 25 there, it's, it's kind of, we're living in the 20s, the raging 20s or whatever it was back there. This is a great opportunity. We're a quarter way through this century. Let's use this. Put the marker down.
Yes.
Right? And actually genuinely put the throttle down too on your investments, on building your super. This is a great opportunity.
It is.
I think it really, I genuinely think it is. And I don't care that, I'm certainly getting on in the old age department, and I do want to retire one day, and I want to retire comfortably. So, I can't see any reason why. In fact, I think it's actually more incentive than if I was doing it over a longer period. I think I'm more invested in actually making it happen.
It's a bloody good point. You're more, you're sort of more riveted to the pole a bit.
Yeah.
You're going, well, hang on a minute. A shorter time frame, I can get it in my mind. Easy to manage, and I can forecast the next 5 years fairly well. What I'm going to do, blah blah. And so I think that's a bloody good point.
Yeah,
because I've got, as you know, I run these money matters wealth events at my
Which
offices.
are brilliant, mate. I'll tell you right now.
It's not
Just go to them.
Yeah, you
Okay,
go to the
simple as that. I don't know how to sell these. Okay, just come. I'll be there. Come and hang out. It's good fun. No, but the information is brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
Thank you.
I'm so privileged. I sit here with you every week, and as I say, act as a bit of a sponge, take in this information. But going along the last time, for me, look, it did many things. It reaffirmed the stuff that I've learned here. Okay, and it's just nice to have that reaffirmed.
Mm-hmm.
But also when you're actually spending time with other people who are on the same journey as you in different directions, but we're all sort of heading the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It adds. There's more. Again, it's like more incentive to make it happen.
Yes.
You're with a collective group. You don't feel alone. You're going hard at it, and you learn so much. So yeah, keep doing those.
Good idea. Well, our next one's in mid-January.
Okay.
But they're so bloody popular, which is nice. That we'll probably start doing them during the day as well.
Right.
We might just do, every Wednesday.
Right.
Lunch. Bring your lunch.
Yep.
Bring your lunch. You got to book in. We're going to get it all set up, so it'll be on the website soon. And come down and we'll just do a short, sharp 35-minute on this. Bang, 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 all the key stuff.
In your lunch break, that's and also, okay, think about this for your financial security. Say you've got an hour for lunch, right? Wouldn't you rather invest 35 minutes into actually a quick, short, sharp? I mean, I went the other day down the road and I thought, I'm going to have the old steak day at the pub.
Steak day,
right? And then they tell me it's going to be a 45-minute wait for the steak, right? So I'm like, no, I've gone. Okay, I've left. Less time I could invest actually in my future.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a silly way of looking at it, but you can see my point.
Yeah.
It in the middle of your day, right there, take advantage, make it happen.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about it, make it happen.
Yeah. We might even put it out to our team. If you book in, we'll put on lunch.
Nice.
And in the booking thing in an Eventbrite or whatever, pay you $15 or something. That might cover us to put the lunch in.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's good.
We'll do something.
You'll figure something out, mate. You're a smart fella.
We'll work it out.
We'll work it out. But yeah, look, I think this is a great thing, and I'd like to sort of do it, over several weeks if we could. Really energize this acceleration thing. Let's think about this because, and I'm a little OCD. I like the fact it's 2025. I think it's just kind of a nice number.
Why'd you put that up? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a number.
We'll leverage that one.
Yeah, why not? It's just an opportunity to really fire.
Yeah.
So it's not like starting your diet on a Monday. Okay, this is going to be a new year. We've got so much to achieve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get in early.
Damn straight.
Know your numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Very true.
Know your numbers and prosper in 2025, and plan for certainty and peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
I think that's it. Like, there's a lot of people grossly underinsured, right? And you think, it's so bloody expensive to buy life insurance, but I'm a single mother, I've got 3 kids, I've got my second husband, and he's 55, and I'm bloody 32. And it's a tough discussion often in the families, but we'll bring it up.
Yeah.
And if you do your budget, you go, hey, through super, you still can afford to put $1 million worth of life insurance on the old boy.
Right.
And you can still afford, or you can still project out all your goals and objectives.
Hang on, is that a tax deduction?
It's a tax deduction to the super fund.
I didn't even know that. There you
go. Yeah. Okay. So it really is important. Like, if Fred dies because for whatever reason, and then there's a single mother, a widow with the 2 small kids. It's hard enough with 2 small kids as a single mother, but with no money and relying on welfare. It's just a terribly difficult situation for these mothers. And so get the old boy insured,
Definitely.
and you can, it's not hard.
Well, but okay, knowledge is power. Okay, what you've just told me about that, I don't believe that I've had that financial advice before. It's not financial advice from my, when I've spoken to my accountant and I've been making plans and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think she's ever asked me if I've got life insurance.
Do you know why?
Why?
It's illegal.
What?
Yep. Because she's an accountant,
okay,
and she doesn't have the financial planning licensing
standards.
Way. It's illegal for her to talk about anything to do with
Okay.
investment or money
Right.
or life insurance, because that's only can be discussed with a licensed life insurance advisor,
Sure.
financial planner. And
Which
so,
pushes you into the big bucks.
I know,
Come on.
I know, mate. That's why we can talk about it as an education
Yeah.
thing. Because we legally can, because as everyone knows on this program, we are not licensed financial advisors.
That's right.
We only provide education, training, and advice. But I can openly say here, hey, you can buy life insurance through your super fund.
Yep.
So look your super fund up. What is it? Oh, it's AMP, it's Australian Super. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
You can get the statement, for God's sake,
Mhm.
but ring the 1300 number and say, look, how much is it going to cost me to put $1 million worth of life insurance
Yep.
on my husband's life, because this is his super fund, right?
Right.
And they may say, well, look, we can't tell you, Mrs. Jones, please get your husband to call us.
Sure.
So then he phones up and he goes, righto, well, it's going to cost whatever.
Yep.
But the assets in the super fund will pay that premium.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's not taking money out of the budget.
See, I didn't have $5,000 to spend on a financial planner. And as you were having this conversation, I'm thinking, geez, I'm not too pleased with my accountant, right? But now I realise it's out of her scope of her being allowed to,
Yep.
that annoys me greatly.
Yeah. This is part of the government, of course, this under the
Yeah.
guise of consumer protection
know your
and all the
client,
sort
yada,
of
yada.
stuff.
Yeah.
They've really missed the mark,
Really
because
have.
so many people are disenfranchised with the facts about simple stuff they can do themselves.
Yep. Yep.
And just lining up a benefit, just simple things like, go back to that superannuation thing. I gave a broken family example there, right? Because he's the old bloke and it's the second marriage for him and it's the first for her. He may well have children from a previous marriage, right?
Okay.
He's got the opportunity to say, hey, with the 2 children and my second wife,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look up binding nomination of beneficiaries with the super fund that he's with.
Okay.
Get a bit of paper printed out and sign it and go, I, with my binding nomination, nominate my 2 new children and my new wife as the sole beneficiaries to my super, including the life insurance payout, right?
Yeah.
That stops the dodgy ex-wife from his first marriage, right? Because in this case, she was dodgy.
Yeah.
Like she was bad, seriously bad.
Right.
Sometimes it's the blokes that are seriously bad, but in this case, it was her.
Gotcha.
And she can't challenge the trustees because it's a binding nomination.
That's right.
She can't go try and get in there for the chop.
I love
that stuff.
That's a very important thing, mate. I'm so glad you brought that forward, because that's actually a concern that I've actually been asked about, and obviously I can't answer because I'm not up on the knowledge. So I'm really glad you've covered that, because a lot of people who are in the second marriage, third marriage, whatever the case may be, are concerned about former spouses who, might be financially motivated. We'll just put it that way.
Oh, look, predatory comes to mind.
Yep.
With some of this behaviour of the not too scrupulous humans that are floating around out there on the planet.
That's right.
But there's structures that we can teach people about.
Sure.
Like they're really no one knows the difference between joint tenant ownership of a property and tenants in common.
Yeah.
No one knows.
No.
I saw someone the other day with the roles were reversed. She was the older one, 2 children, 40. $500,000 in cash from the settlement from her previous marriage.
Right.
She had the toy boy.
He's got his eyes on that money.
And
I mean, maybe I'm cynical. I don't know.
And they want to go and buy a new home together. Right. But there was a bit of pushback going on. She's going, God, if I put my $500,000 into the house and, bloody, I love Freddie, and especially when he's 15 years younger, it's just great. But, what happens if we get broken up? And does he get my $500,000 from my previous marriage?
Sure.
And I said, do you understand how tenants in common works? I mean, what do you mean? So go and buy your house, but if 90% of the value of the new home is with your money, because he's got a little bit and you've got a lot,
sure,
you can own 90% of the house on title. on title.
On title.
And you can will that to your two boys.
Now,
Hey,
exactly right. I mean, look, this could have saved me a lot of money had I known that a long, long time ago. I mean, I married divorce Barbie. She came with all of my accessories, right? Anyway, on that, I think we'll end the show. Thank you very much for being part of it, everyone. Thank you for all the questions.
Thank you very much for turning up, listeners.
It's just always a pleasure, and I love being interactive. It's such a great part of what we do here at Edge. And of course, if you want to hear a replay of this, you will hear a replay of this show on Saturday as well. Just check on the old guides on the website, and probably Sunday as well, the way things are going, because we've got a bit of a financial thing going on Sunday that I just think that today's show would fit very, very nicely, and so I might slot it in there as well.
Beauty.
I mean, ultimately,
more coverage, the better.
Yeah, well, we want to serve our viewers and our listeners. So if you want to listen to those, you can listen to edgeradioaustralia.com. Hit the old play button, stream away, and off you go. So this has been Wealth by Design, Edge Radio Australia.